And here we are live once again for another show. Hello everybody. Nice to have everyone on board as usual. And we are starting another live show. And here we go. So hey everyone, welcome aboard. This is a shortwave radio show. I am very last minute right now because it's like I had things to do. Unexpected friend came over for like half an hour. Of course, when an unexpected friend comes over for 30 minutes, it always lasts an hour and a half because you just talk and blabber. So I realized okay, I got a show in 15 minutes. I've got nothing set up. So really last minute, but hey, I am here finally. So hello everybody. I didn't have time to post the link through the email. I'm really sorry. I was unable to send the link to everybody through email. Really sorry about that. So I went to the essentials, the Facebook groups, and Twitter. So I am a little last minute. And welcome aboard, everyone. This is a shortwave radio show. This is a show where we talk about radio, shortwave radio. And this is a show where we, every week, talk about a subject that has to do with shortwave radio, answer questions. Lots of newbie stuff, lots of interesting stuff, hopefully for everybody. So yes, I'm last minute, but I'm here. So hello everyone. This show, of course, is every week. Like I said, it alternates Fridays and Saturdays. So this one is on Friday. Next one will be next Saturday, June 10th. So incredible. We're already at the month of June. It's incredible. I just can't believe it. So hello everyone, welcome aboard. MDK2, Jerry, Richard Cook, hi Mapper from Moscow, Mad Boy, hello there. Bobby Burgess, Morgan City, Louisiana, welcome aboard. John Ritson, 2E0JGR in the UK, PLF Radio in France. Nick Amendot from Romania, hello there. Nice to have an audience, international audience, lots of very international audience here. Tyler Salisbury, hello there, listening to Fire Drake on a China Kiwi SDR. So it's interesting to see that everybody enjoying radio and having fun. So welcome aboard, everyone. And like I said, I'm very last minute, so sorry about that. I usually have an hour and a half that I set up and take the time to put everything right. I'm listening to Radio Kuwait with a pretty good signal from Radio Kuwait, 15540 right now. So for those that want to check that out, Radio Kuwait with some pop music a little earlier. Pretty good signal into North America right now. Hello there, Andrew Everett from Iowa in the USA. Mohammad Riza of Fruze from Germany. So nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess says, got a new elect ham it up converter, the case for it, and cable coming in Monday. Cool, Bobby. You're gonna have fun with that. Gonna tell you. Hey, Carol T. Nice to be here. He hates radio. Yeah, right. You know, I'd like to see you, Carol. We'll take away your radios for a month and see how you fare. I can tell you, you're going to really, you're going to have a big depression, I can tell you that. Nice to have everyone on board. And pretty cool for everybody. Just going to do a little something. So, okay, today we're going to talk about utility stations, aeronautical, maritime stuff that you can hear. We'll be checking the different frequency ranges where you hear stuff like that. So hopefully you will enjoy today's show. Nothing much prepared, so it's going to be much more anything goes, shortwave, and let's tune around. Of course, we'll tune around the shortwave radio, and we'll just have a lot of fun anyways. So we're going to check that out. What else do we have here? Let me just check anything else that I have for information here. So we'll be checking out. Okay, so we'll be checking out a little bit of the the stuff here. So hope you enjoyed today's show. Like I said, just checking out. As you see, I'm a little last minute, so I'm just trying to set up my different pages that I want to have available. And here we are. We're going to check that out, of course, and hopefully have a lot of fun. So hope everybody's all right. We've had the weather is terrible, just terrible. Amazingly terrible, and today's cold and like 15 degrees, which is much colder than usual for the time of year. It's usually much warmer than this. And I haven't even done going to the Perry Island de-expedition stuff and anything. So it's just crazy when you think about it. So, okay, we're ready here. And what else do we have here? Okay, what else do we have? Okay, so hey there, John Nicholas Lawrence from Germany. Nice to have you on board. MDK2, listening to Fire Drake on my home receiver the other day. I haven't heard Fire Drake in a long time on the shortwave bands, I gotta say. Hey, Philip Briggs, hello there from cold autumn in the south of Brazil, 14 Celsius. About the same temperature here, Philip, 14, 15 Celsius right now. ONL 5923, hello there. I'll be on holiday in England, still watching the show. So, Peter, OML 5923, Belgium. Cool. What else do we have? Jerry's listening to a base Antarctica beacon on 14101. I've never heard it. I'm gonna try it again. 14101. Not hearing it. I've never heard it here. Not hearing a peep. Not hearing a peep. Never heard it. Maybe it's my noise. I don't know, but I've never heard it here. Carol Scott Netting on 14101. Watershed 44, hello there, 88 in upstate South Carolina. Send us a little bit of that warm weather. God, Jerry says 74 Fahrenheit and sunny. Tyler Salisbury says Fire Drake on 6080. Joel is the clock on HDSDR set up on WWV. It should be, yeah, it is. It's 2008 and 56 seconds. Yeah, it should be normally pretty accurate because I always check the clock because I always wanted the code JT65, and you need an accurate clock for that to work. So it should technically be okay. I might have to check it out to make sure, but I think it is. So yeah, the bitch cop is waiting for me. She's gone there every day to make sure that she can find me when I go back. So pretty interesting. What's that picture of above you? Hey, Luis Arevalo, nice to have you here. Rel Howard, hello there. From Connecticut, USA, nice to have you here. C Strat 90, hello there in Iowa. 85 and humid. I'd take the 85, but not the humidity. The picture above me here is this is my mom that died 10 years ago. Almost 10 years ago. In the middle is my sister Joanne, which died 5 or 6 years ago from cancer. And this is my sister Carol, which is still alive and well. And actually we just had a little, I just saw she sent me a little conversation on Facebook Messenger. So that's family, basically. So nice to have everybody on board. 23.4 Celsius in Oregon. That's not bad. That's okay weather. You know, I mean, you go out and you're just okay. Echo of Hope 6250. Richard's receiving. Wow, you're getting that Wellbrook is working well for you, Richard. Can tell you that. So welcome aboard, everybody. Bobby Burgess' grandma died 6 years ago. So I never knew my grandparents. Since I'm a late comer to the family, my mom was almost 40 years old when I was born, and my grandparents were already very old. So all of my grandparents died without me really knowing any of them. I could not say that I knew, grandma or grandpa. They died on the side of my mother. Grandma, grandpa died quite early. They were like in their 60s. So when I was born, they were. I think my grandma was already dead, and my grandpa was too young. Never received. I never known him really. I don't remember. I don't have any account. On the side of my dad, my grandpa died late, like at 95 years old. But I was probably 5 or 6 years old when he died. I do have a slight souvenir, and that's what I was telling my brother the other day. I have a slight souvenir of going to the funeral at age 6 or something like that. And I remember because I told my brother, I went to a funeral. I was 6. Who died when I was 6? I remember I was at a funeral, and my brother said, my brother or somebody in the family, anyways, told me, it's probably your grandpa. So, okay. So I really never knew my grandparents technically, which is sad. They must have been fantastic people, but that's the day. That's the thing. Okay, Tyler Sisbury says Japan XSL and North Korean jammer on 6250. Huh. Okay. 11 seconds delay. Not bad at all. So if anybody has questions or anything, of course, it might be a little shorter than usual in today's show because I'm a little. We'll never know anyway. And I got only one beer. I've got this beer, which is left over from yesterday's live shows with my nephew, and I don't have any because I didn't have time to go to the grocery store, so I don't have any more beers. I only got one, so it's going to be a very non-alcoholized show. We'll make some people happy because I do get some comments of people saying, "Hey, you should take it easy." So, okay, today we're going to talk about some of the frequencies you can tune to utility stations. So what are utility stations? They are technically stations that usually are anything else than, we can pretty much say anything else than what is... sorry, I'm just trying to find my... okay, here it goes. Anything else that's not international broadcast or amateur pretty much resumes utility stations. They are everywhere around the bands, and they, of course, they are scattered, of course, across the bands. They usually aren't too much in the international broadcast band and amateur bands, but there are some utility stations that also mix in the international broadcast bands and the amateur bands. But most of them have their own frequency ranges, like the aeronautical bands or the maritime bands. That there are specific areas where you can listen to these stations, basically. So really nice. Hey, F. Blassie, nice to have you on board from checking in from the job in Oakland, California. So nice to have you checking in. Ralph Bender, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. Okay. I like that. C-Strut90 says, nothing wrong with having some drinks on Friday afternoon. In fact, should be a requirement. So, I got a tear in my beer. Yeah, Jerry, I'll sing that. So, beer-rich water. Yeah, and I'm not sure I want to have beer-rich water. Hey there, Dean Allison. So yeah, it is tragic. I gotta take my time in order to have it for as long as possible. You might just look at it. So, Luis Arevalo, yes, the military does use the shortwave bands. Actually, there are some military stuff scattered across the shortwave band, and it is usually there are some frequencies, known frequencies. For example, 11175. Let's just put it here in upper sideband. 11175 is one of those frequencies for military stuff. 15016 is also one. It is usually a semi-active frequency, so you just stay there, and there's a lot of stuff that you can hear. There are most of the time they're EAMs, emergency action messages from the U.S. Air Force. But sometimes you might hear phone patches, all sorts of conversation. Even people heard phone patches from Air Force One, which is the President of the United States airplane. So and Russian military and pretty much military of all countries around the world have some activity in the shortwave bands. Some countries more than others. So, but yeah, the military do use some stuff for sure. So, 10680 is, I'm not sure, 10680 is not a, is it? 10680, let's just check if I hear something. Morse code. Ain't hearing anything here. So let's put it back to 11175 and hear if there's some emergency action messages live. So, any wine? No, nothing actually. And yeah, yesterday the vodka and juice, the vodka bottle only had about a third of the bottle, so we emptied it. And we watched a movie at the after we did the live shows, and Gabrielle went home and was maybe 1 a.m. in the morning, something like that. So well, we had a lot of fun anyways. Nope, nothing yet. So it's from time to time you hear stuff. You just gotta leave. If you want to hear activity on a lot of utility frequencies, one of the biggest thing. Oh, really? I'm just going to. Thank you for telling me, Carol T. Because I know the autofocus is annoying. Yeah, autofocus is on. Now I'm blurred. No, I'm not. Here we go. I know the autofocus is so annoying with the camera, so it's always trying to focus on something and it switches on and off. Thanks for letting me know, Carol. So, anyways, you have to take the time to you got to be patient, because one of the things that you need to know is that utility stations don't broadcast all the time. They broadcast when there's something or some traffic to send out. So of course, you will have some frequencies like 11175 if you want to hear something. Unless you by chance or by accident go on the frequency and hear something, most of the time you're just gonna stay there and let it on, the static until you hear something. So you got to be patient for utility stuff most of the time. PLF radio. How do you know MUF in an exact location? There are a few websites that actually have MUF maps. Actually, don't take, one of the first things that you need to know, don't take the maximum usable frequency maps for cache, because they actually use a mix of, the solar flux plus location plus day and time of the year to make these calculations, and sometimes they're a little off, but they give you a interesting outlook. One of the websites that actually does it, if you go to, I believe, if you go to, let me just check that out, dx.qsl.net. We go to dx.qsl.net and go to propagation. I think they do have one of those maps there at the bottom. If I'm not mistaken, there was one. So these are aurora. This is activity. This is day-night. So here it is. This is near real-time MUF map. And it shows up like this. And on this map, you've got lines. And you see that the lines all intersect with numbers. And the numbers are maximum usable frequency at these line areas. So for example, here it says 22, for example, North Africa. You follow this line and you know that all across this line it's 22 megahertz. So you got to follow the line on which that number is. So here it's 19 crossing to the south of the United States. Means the south of the US, 19 megahertz is pretty much the maximum usable frequency right now. But gotta remember one thing. Maximum usable frequency on shortwave is not a fixed thing. Because, example, I just told you that this line of 19 megahertz goes across Florida. So you might think, okay, nothing above 19 megahertz. Wait, if you're listening to a signal coming from Brazil, for example, between Brazil and Florida, there are lines of 30, 29, 28 megahertz. That means even though 19 megahertz is your MUF at your location, from Brazil to Florida right now, you could hear signals in the 25, 26, even the 10 meter band might be open. Why? Because in between you and there, where the signal will hit the ionosphere, the MUF is higher. So it's very, you can't take, above Montreal, the MUF is, if I look at the lines here, above Montreal, the MUF is rather low right now. I don't see any numbers right now, but it's even if it would be like 20 megahertz, if I listen to a signal from somewhere else, the line of the maximum usable frequency in one of those regions will affect. Hey, there's some activity right now, by the way, guys. That's a emergency action message. So 15016, 11175. There's also lower frequencies that I don't remember. So, hey Mick, nice to have you on board from a wet Leicester. So nice to have you here as usual. So, like I was saying, when you are on a MUF map, don't take for a crash that the MUF above you, so you're in France, for example, which states here that 19 megahertz is pretty much, France is right here. 19 megahertz is up here, but look, suppose a signal's coming from South Africa to you. In between you, 19 megahertz in South Africa, look at that, lines of 28, 29 megahertz, 24, 22. That means you could hear a signal from South Africa above 20 megahertz. Even though above your head, 19 megahertz seems to be the maximum usable frequency. So you got to be careful with that, because it's not just where, what's happening with you that is the problem. Is in between you and the other part of the world you're listening. What are the maximum usable frequencies? That will be a much better measure. So you can use this map, which is, once again, approximate. It's not, it says 19. Don't expect that it's necessarily exactly 19. So basically, you can use this as an example, see what could be, and give an idea between point A and point B, what would be, the maximum usable frequency. So if you're listening, say you're trying to get something from South America to France, of course, you see here that lots of lines of 30 megahertz, 29 megahertz, 29, 28, 27 here, up to 24. That means you would possibly hear something in France from Brazil at 25 megahertz, because in between there are lines of much higher maximum usable frequency. So just remember that that signal comes from far away. It will have the effect of, depending on the MUF of where you go. And remember that, day-night patterns, for example, here, what you see here is the night pattern. The gray lines here on this map show that this area here is in darkness. You can actually see it better when you let me just close this one. So you can see it better when you go to the other map that's right here. So right here we see this is this is a nice map to have to see, areas of darkness and of daytime. So these are two maps that can be used together. You got to understand where it's light, where it's dark, and from there you have a possibility of knowing what types of signals you'll receive. So for example, just look at Radio Kuwait I was listening to on 15540. Kuwait is somewhere here, and Persian Gulf. You got to remember one thing, is that it's darkness in a big chunk of the path from Kuwait. So when people say, around 2000 UT, they start losing Radio Kuwait. Well, that's because as the time advances, a bigger chunk of Radio Kuwait's signal that's on the 19 meter band is in the darkness path. And in darkness, 15 megahertz might not propagate well. So as the darkness advances, the signal weakens, because the ionosphere in the daytime part here still supports 15 megahertz. Here, because it's darkness, the ionosphere is reorganizing, and it might not support well 15 megahertz at some point. So the signal from Kuwait actually lowers because of this darkness path here. So that's why in the summertime and the wintertime is very different. So I hope this is a little course in propagation and using, and it's actually a good question, because using the real-time maximum usable frequency maps can sometimes be helpful in knowing from where a signal might be coming from and on what frequency you can expect. But it's to understand that it is dependent on many things, and of course, as the darkness path comes here, we'll slowly have MUF go down. So if you see France at 19 megahertz, for example, if in an hour's time, when the darkness will advance a little bit, the MUF over France will be lower. But it doesn't mean that you can't hear Brazil that has a 30 megahertz or 29, 28 megahertz MUF still on high frequencies, because if most of the signal is still in the daytime path, and this, by the way, here, the two lines, that's what we call the gray zone. And that gray zone is amazing. This is something that enhances propagation a lot. So knowing where, two regions are within that region is sometimes helpful in actually listening to some signals. So hope that helps a little bit. Philip Briggs says CB channel 627025 with Southern U.S. accent skipping from Brazil. So okay, let's keep this map, by the way, and let's go to here. Can I hear something? Is there a sporadic key skip? Nothing much. Channel 6. I did hear some sporadic E yesterday a little bit, around noon. Lots of southern U.S. Stations there. Bob B says, does the news reporters use shortwave receivers to carry the news? A lot of reporters do have a lot. A lot of them have a little shortwave radio with them because it's a way to also keep in touch with what's happening around the world. So yes, there would be. I know I've seen a few news reporters from the BBC that actually were carrying shortwave receivers around to actually keep in touch with what's happening also. Hey Cosmic Lettuce, nice to have you here from southeastern Arizona. Nice to have you here, of course. What else do we have? So Jerry says, of course, Jerry's giving us the latest solar flux and K-index. K1, that's really good, quiet. Solar flux 78, could be okay. 8992, yeah, another frequency as Carol's mentioning. There's 11175, 15016, 8992. And I know there's one in 6 megahertz, 6759. Is it possible? Out of my out of my head. So Tor Henning Isaksen, hello there from Norway. Nice to have you on board. And by the way, I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I always get this thing, people saying, "Where are you?" You never say it. I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. No, Jerry, that's the if it would be the Trump global warming map, it actually would say that we're actually cooling down. Steve P. and Australia, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Nice to have you on board. Janik the Historian says, found this Noaa weather radio 2-meter band on the internet, and it's very interesting, but I can't hear it in Germany. No, because I believe there's no Noaa-like stuff in Europe. Here in Canada, we have the Canadian weather radio. The Canadian weather radio service that is on the same frequencies that Noaa uses in the United States. So we can use Noaa weather radios. I can give you an example if you want to see one that was given to me by Fastload, by the way. Let me just check it out right here. So this is a great example of a Noaa weather radio. Here it is. So this one has a weather alert feature. So I can, there's a little antenna, and I can turn it on, and let's put it at.
Winds west, 20 kilometers per hour, becoming light in the evening. Low 10. Tonight, air quality good. For Saturday, air quality good. The outlook, Sunday, cloudy. High 20. For Sunday night,
so here you go.
Low 13.
And they've got the switch for the 7 frequencies used by Noaa, and which are the same frequencies also here in Canada. And you've got the alert button here that actually, when you trigger this, you have 2 choices. You have either the device will sound an alarm, like a siren, when bad weather is upon us. So basically the audio is silent and you just leave it plugged in. And if bad weather is arriving, a siren will come out. And it also, if you want, instead of the siren, you can also have it just, give the audio of what's happening in the weather. Cute little thing, Fastload. I think it's Fastload Dan that had this, that bought this in the United States. It's made by Midland. And nobody was using it, so he said, hey, I think that would interest you. And it does interest me, so it's nice to have it part of my collection of radio stuff. So weather radio. But unfortunately, in Europe, these weather radios are of very little usage because there's no weather stuff on those frequencies there, unfortunately. So hey, PLF, cool. I think there's a lot of stuff that we need to learn sometimes on how to use certain things and be very, very. It's very difficult sometimes to really understand exactly what it means, and knowing that the MUF between point A and point B is more important than the MUF above UU is also the key to sometimes trying a DX of a station. Philip Briggs says 11.175 clear in southern Brazil, also weaker but readable in 15.016. So I wonder from where it comes sometimes. Cosmic Leda says Jill dropping knowledge bombs. Hey Jeff. Jeff KD5 QDO. Nice to have you on board as usual. Radelva 65. Hello there. Nice to have you here. 1990 Sunbird also. Pretty cool. So you mean, Bobby, do you mean like more like having news reporters would relay some news that they would hear from a shortwave broadcaster or some amateur radio operators through the world? Trying to understand the exact question here, Bobby. Oh, it is. CB here is used a little bit. There's 27075 is one of the frequencies if you want to hear something sometimes, because there's a lot of cars that actually have the mobile CBs. We hear regular stuff there. There's a gang on 27165 upper sideman from time to time, almost every night actually. But apart from that, the most activity I get is either through skip when the frequency propagates from the United States, or in the winter time because we have the snow removal crews. But there's also the trucks that actually pick up the snow are regular private owned trucks, and they often have a CB in their trucks, and they often talk together while they're removing the snow in the winter time. Thanks Carol for the frequency. So talking of utility frequencies, if you want to hear the global HF system from the US Air Force, which is military, 4724 6739 8992 11175 13200 and 15016. And by the way, if you want to know which one propagates on these, they all usually issue exactly the same transmission. So when we were listening to something on 11175 earlier, if there is something here, you can try any of those frequencies. They will all relay the same exact transmission you're hearing on 11175. They're all interconnected basically. MDK2 says needs a dedicated weather radio again. I had one as a kid in the 80s. Can get it on his RSP2 Pro at least. Well, it's useful. Here we do get some bad weather. It's there's sometimes snowstorms, ice storms in the wintertime that are bad. When in July and August when we get very, very warm temperatures, we have some really powerful thunderstorms. So I think anybody should have, if you live in an area covered by the Noaa weather broadcasts, or here in Canada, the Environnement Canada weather broadcasts, I think having one of those is something very, very, very useful. Unfortunately, apart from us radio geeks, a lot of people don't really know anything about these weather radios. Most people don't know that there's a continuous 24-hour weather station on the VHF frequency range. Here in Montreal is on 162.550. But a lot of people don't know that, unfortunately. Bobby Burgess as the Midland WR120. Cool. So, yeah, Philip Briggs, we are on metric system here in Canada. So we use kilograms and centigrade or Celsius for temperatures, kilometer per hour for the wind, and speed. I'm a hybrid guy because the metric system was enforced in the late 70s here in Canada. And what happened is that part of my knowledge that I have when I was young is in the imperial system. So, you know, I still today go to the grocery store and say, hey, can I have a pound of ground beef? Instead of, can I have 454 grams? Which is not natural for me, you know? So I sometimes use pounds. I will sometimes use, you know, for example, I'm 5'9". When somebody asks me, oh, how tall are you? I'm 1 meter 46. I'm like, I have no idea how tall I am in meters, in centimeters. I can tell you I'm 5'9". So I'm a mixed bag because of the mixed education I got about boat systems. But today, if I talk to a young generations, if I talk to somebody that's 15 years old, you know, the teenager is going to talk to me and, oh, I measure 1 meter in 45 or something, you know. It's like, okay. And how, and, you know, I'll just look at it and it's like, okay, you look like 5'8". You know, it's just funny. Yeah, of course, you can get weather alerts on your iPhone and stuff like that, that's for sure. So, but you know, bad weather it can arrive everywhere. Like Bobby Burgess says, bad weather, I mean, it can happen at any time, anywhere around the world. That's for sure. You never know. You know, Mother Nature is pretty amazing. CHU 3330 should be on now. Really? They're back? Let's try it out. Yeah. CHU Canada back on 3330. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Thank you, Tor. Nice to have, you know, it's fun to do these videos, and, you know, when you see people that love the vids and everything. So it is always, you know, always cool. And it's fun to be live, you know, it's fun to have the chat room and interact. And, you know, as we're using this CHU time signal, by the way, that's another type of utility station. There are time signal stations on shortwave. And their purpose is to do multiple things. Give, of course, accurate time. It can be very useful to have accurate time pretty much everywhere. Also, most of them have a very accurate frequency, meaning you can actually try to, for example, if I would want to calibrate the SDR here, I would use a signal like the one from CHU or WWV, because it is known that they are extremely precise on the frequency, because the atomic clock or that they use for time is also used to synchronize the frequency they're on. So it's of a very high accuracy, and these clocks are amazing in their precisions. So another type of utility station, time signals. So CHU 3330, and they're back. They were off for a while. 7850. Not hearing that one. And 14670. 3 frequencies from CHU. WWV, WWVH, 2.5. That's mostly for nighttime. 5,000. 10,000 kilohertz, 15,000, and WWV continues also at 20,000, and 25 megahertz. There are, of course, other time signal stations from around the world. So, of course, there are stations from Brazil. There's a Chinese station. There's an Italian one. Often using, a lot of the times they're using the same frequencies as WWV, for example. So, they're harder to DX, especially in North America, but you never know. So time signal stations are another type of station that you can actually tune, which is a utility station, very simply. Utility stations. MDK2 says, family took RV vacation, and when I was a kid and I took my weather radio with me, the problem was that we were too far from, exactly the same thing, MDK2 here. I had, a cube. Radio Shack used to sell a cube. It was a little cube that looked like a wooden box, and on top there was a button for the weather. And I had a cube like that, and I would bring that cube when we would go up north. The problem in that period of time, there was no weather station there. Today there is one, because today they added an antenna on Mont Tremblant that actually covers where my dad had built his. We were, in the chalet there. But the thing is, back then, I would tune, and then I would, maybe halfway there, I'd lose, Montreal's weather. But the same thing here. And, like Cosmic Gladys says, all systems of measurement are arbitrary. It doesn't really matter which ones are used. I too speak in both. The biggest problem with that, and we've seen it with NASA, NASA had $100 million, space probes that I think there's a Mars space probe that cost like $1 billion that crashed on the planet. And when they looked in the investigation, they had noticed that one part was using imperial, one part was using metric. And somewhere in the middle, there's a place where they forgot to do the conversion. So that error in the number crashed the spacecraft on Mars. So, metric is interesting for that. What they want to do with metric is that we would all use the same system, which the idea is not bad. But, it's like the United States continues to use its own system. And, as long as of course, the important, but got to be careful. I think there are places where it should never be used as like that. I think like NASA, scientific stuff, you should be metric only, not have those conversions that if you forget about it, you crash $1 billion probe on the planet. So so does news reporters relay the news from shortwave broadcasts and hams? It could happen. A great example, Bobby, when I remember one thing. I don't know today. We don't hear that today really a lot. But I remember, for example, in 1986 when the Chernobyl nuclear plant exploded. I remember local news here in Canada, actually, when the Russians actually finally said, okay, we had a nuclear accident. I remember the news at a shortwave radio, and they had just put the picture of a shortwave radio and the relay of the audio of Radio Moscow saying that there was an accident at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. We don't really see that much today because I think with satellites and phones, it's they have more means of actually doing that, but it's not impossible. In a disaster area, for example, with if there would be some earthquake and local communications would be down, I could see that they would maybe relay amateur radio operator audio, for example, for some news, or maybe use amateur radio operations to maybe send out information that they need to send so the station can use it for their news bulletin, for example. I'm sure it still happens today from time to time. NDK2 says, I've been checking CHU at 3330 without luck. So this is cool to see it's finally on. Yeah, it's on. I don't know how long it's been on, but I think it was 2 weeks ago I listened and it wasn't there. Here it's a 24-hour thing. I get 3330 24 hours a day because I'm just like, I'm barely 100 kilometers away from the antenna. So I receive the ground wave all the time here. But at night it's usually better. So MDK2 says something else that was missing for a while but is back now is Trenton Military. I didn't hear it for the last 4 weeks, but heard it on Wednesday night. Well, you know what? They weren't missing from what I see because I exactly had the same question that I was asking myself that you did. And you know what? It's really a propagation thing because I was trying to listen to them on 6754 and I couldn't hear them. But in the live show where I was asking a question, somebody in the chat room said, yeah, it's on, I can hear it right now. And I said, oh, okay. I haven't been hearing it for a while. And a lot of people had replied, oh yeah, I heard it yesterday or last week. I think it's a propagation thing because the same thing here. I've not been hearing Trenton Military Volumet a lot, but apparently it is on every time. It's on. It's really propagation thing. So cool, Cosmic Lettuce. May many more people press the thumbs up button to compensate for the 2 idiots that always press the thumbs down button. I don't care. PLF Radio, why CHU left? Okay, CHU had a problem with the feed line, actually from the transmission line. So from the transmitter to the antenna, there was a problem. But the problem is, it happened this last winter. And because the feed line is underground, they couldn't go and fix it because the ground was frozen. So they had to wait for the ground to unfreeze and everything, and then of course take necessary equipment to do it. But they are back now, it seems. So they fixed. So it's pretty cool. Oh really? A flood advisory. Hope it's not going to be too bad. Paul A. Steckler, no, CHU is not on 7335 anymore. They left many years ago. The 7 megahertz frequency is 7850. That's the new frequency they use. They've been on, I don't remember how long, but for many years now. What happened with 7335 is that in the international conventions of frequency usage, what happened is that 7335, which was allocated for utility and other things, was reallocated, and so CHU Canada had to move. And they had asked if we were actually listening because they were looking at 2 things, 2 possibilities. Just shut it down, or if they get enough input, move it to another frequency. And from what I remember, it cost them like $100,000 to move the frequency from 7335 to 7850. But now they're at 7850. Hey, Carol, you got CHU 14670. Cool. I almost never hear 14670 because it skips over me all the time. But very, very rare that I get 14670. So pretty cool. What else do we have here? So let me just check quickly. Make sure I don't miss out on anything. So yeah, CHU had a transmission line problem, so that's why they were off. Oh, you remember that Cube MDK2? Yeah, I remember buying it on sale for like $10 or something. And I thought, hey, it's cool, a cube that gets the weather. It was really a cube. It was kind of funny. Ralph Bender says 7335 should be CRI at this time. This so MDK2 visited the site in March of WWV. I did see that video. It's really cool. If anyone wants to check that video of his reception. So yeah, on 10,000 I do get something else than just WWV and WWVH, and I think it's Brazil that I hear from time to time. Richard. Paul says a gram of prevention is worth a kilogram of cure. Yep, absolutely. Hey Bullfrog 89, nice to have you here. And this is Bullfrog is KD2CXU, KD2CXU. So no problem. No problem. Nice to see that you're saying hello. Yeah, another frequency, another interesting time signal station that is cool to listen to, RWM from Moscow, which is you have to listen to on CW. They are sending ID on Morse code and time pips, and they're at 4996, 9996, and 14996. Dean Allison is receiving 14996 in Northern England. Let's try them out here. 14996. Check out if I hear anything. If I hear anything right now. Nope. 9996. Yes, I hear it very weak. It's fast pulses right now. 9996. It is coming in very weakly. I don't think you guys can hear it, but it's in the noise. I can hear the fast pips. And 4996, which I won't try because I know it won't come in at this time of day, but I'm hearing it slightly on 9996 right now with the little time pips. Yep, it's there. 9996. So 4996. 9996 and 14996. The funny thing about that station is sometimes I know it's there because when it's strong enough, I can actually hear it in AM mode just underneath the WWV signal. Sometimes. Indicate2 says, funny thing, despite the fact that 10 and 15 megahertz are often clear, except for when WWVH is coming in, I never get BPM or Italy cable or Brazil's time signal either. I do a little bit on 10 megahertz. I believe I hear Brazil, but I almost never hear anything else. I've never heard at 15 megahertz. I think I've never heard anything else than WWV and WWVH time signal in Colorado and Hawaii. Yeah, I understand, Carol, about the fact that Imperial, because in the US, but I would have some kind of international rule because they are doing stuff with other countries that everything in science might be metric. You know, some kind of rule so nobody messes up somewhere. So, you know. Yeah, smashing into Mars at a high velocity must have been interesting. Unfortunately, no one was there to see it. At least if we could have seen it, you know, really smashing hard to the ground on Mars, you know. So, Steve P says globaltuners.com, good search for utility station. So, pretty cool. Yeah, you could, of course, you could use the Global Tuners website. You can use SDR.HU, the Kiwi SDRs around the world. Try to tune in the different time stations. So now it's a long tone on 9996. That long tone is right now from RWM in Moscow. Just I think it's just outside of Moscow, Russia. I need to QSL this. I think it's Richard Cook that got a QSL. You can actually QSL RWM. I don't remember, is it Richard or somebody in the chat told me they got a QSL card from RWM, time signal. So hey, take care, Carol T. It's nice to have you on board as usual. MDK2 says CHU wasn't there just last night. Oh, interesting. Okay. Richard gets Italy cable and BPM on 10 megahertz most evenings, 5,000 normally BPM. Huh. You've got a good listening post, I guess, with all the things you're hearing, Richard. Really nice. Hey, David Arden, nice to have you on board. No worries. I was really last minute, so I was very, very, very last minute in getting alive. So it's always sometimes complex, Bobby says, nice to know that some, but not all news reporters still relay news from shortwave broadcasts and hams. Yeah, well, with the changing technology, they have so many more ways to communicate and to get news now that it's using shortwave for the news itself is probably less of of something that they actually do usually. Back in the 80s, yeah, my clock isn't here. I've not brought it in because I thought, hey, you can see the clock, I think, through the screen, so it should be okay. Should be okay. What else do we have? So here, Peter Arson, it's a tone right now, but they will, I believe in a few minutes, they will ID in Morse code with RWM, and then they will go back into the time pips of every second. So this is a time signal station, Peter Arson. Oh, Nick Amendo. Okay, you've got a QSL card from RWM, so I need to try that. And MDK2 says someone on Facebook posted a picture of RWM QSL card earlier today. I think I tried emailing them a reception report, but it bounced. And I need to try to get one. I'd like to get one. RWM. At least, I'd get a QSL from Russia. There's really nothing much to QSL from Russia anymore. So that could be interesting. Yeah, in Europe it's probably much easier. I remember checking out the University of 20 SDR in the Netherlands, and having really strong signals of RWM on 9996 and 4996 also. So really amazing. So hey, the coordinates for RWM. Thank you, Tyler Sarisbury. Can we see something on the on Google Maps? If you look like, I wonder if you can see the antenna and the stuff from the satellite view. Hey there, Casey Red Dragon. Nice to have you here. Mad Radio DXer. Hello there. Nick Amendoza says also heard BPM China, but they never sent QSL card. Yeah, sometimes you got to try it a few times. Sometimes you got to do it a few times. Sometimes just one report. One of the things for sure with QSLing is that you got to try several times because a lot of a lot of things can happen. Letter can be lost in the mail. Maybe the email didn't go to the right person, or it's not always. It's not always easy, so you gotta try a few times before you really think, okay, they don't really go, or they don't send QSLs, or sometimes it's a question of having the right person also. Manuel the Exer says, can you try 6 meter band, please? There have been eSkip past couple of days. Yeah, well, I just tried because my indication of eSkip is channel 6 on CB. And nothing here. Let's try 10 meters. Let's just try the beacons on 10 meters. 28,150. Do we have any beacons here that I can hear? Nothing really. Really nothing much. So I do believe that that there's no sportic E-skip right now, and I can go to 6 meters with this SDR, Mad Radio DXer. So hey, we've been on already for an hour and 6 minutes. This is the Shortwave Show coming to you from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Always nice to have everybody on board, and it's very nice to be here. And of course, we are here every week talking about shortwave radio. And today we're tuning and looking at different utility stations. And of course, next show will be Saturday, June the 10th. So, hey, John Risson. Yeah, sporadic E-skip is nice to it's nice to have. No, the Fedri kind of stops at 30 megahertz. It's really a long wave, medium wave, short wave band. Doesn't go to 6 meters. I can tune it, but I don't hear anything. It's it accepts the input of frequency, and it doesn't work, doesn't tune. So this one does not. There is a version of the Fedri that does have VHF, UHF coverage, but not this one. This one is a shortwave only. Hey, John D. Hello there. Nice to have you on board. And by the way, just a quick little something here. If you want to help me out in what I'm doing, of course, you can send a little something. PayPal donations are accepted, and they help me a lot in continuing what I do. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/radioincomputers, and there you can actually send me, or become a patron basically, and send me a one-time donation or set up a donation every month. Helps me a lot in what I do and continuing what I do. I want to thank everybody that have donated. Much appreciated. And why not think about it? Any amount helps. So what's these solid signals that you see here? I've got tons of them everywhere, and this is local interference, but it's outside of my home. So this is things that my long wire picks up, like these solid lines there and there. And if I turn on my my ICOM ICR 8500, you know what? It has the same interference at very specific places. Unfortunately, very, very high noise where I live. So if you look here, look at that. These very, very strong solid lines like that are noise. And they are not from my home. I actually did even a test. I connected the Fedri without the antenna, and I, of course, plugged it on a battery to make sure that no power supply is doing noise. Remove the antenna, and there's no lines or nothing. And when I plug the antenna, if I plug the bigger the antenna, so if I plug like a 10 feet of wire inside my home, you start seeing these appear. And of course, with my 22 meter long sloper, of course, lots of these are very, very strong, and it's very, very amazing. So MDK2 says, get the same kind of interference, sometimes weird things that are like very strong carrier signals. I think two things. Okay, some of them are from the of course, switching power supplies. But I do think some of our electronics do it. For example, I remember I found a tone at some point, and I could see I could see that it was pinging and doing the same type of ping that synchronized with, for example, my router's light blinking. And I noticed, oh, I've got a few of those that are really coming out from my own router, but not a lot. There's very few interference from my home. You know, a lot of the things I've changed actually just to make sure that it lowers the amount of noise. And so a lot of it is coming from my neighbors. And those wavy lines that you see there, that is something like a switching power supply. Some kind of switching power supply that just moves. You know, the interference isn't stable at a specific frequency. It kind of moves depending on, for example, you know, if a switching power supply, if you increase demand on the power needed, it, you know, I've seen that in a video somewhere. You would see those wavy lines, and if you increase the power that you take, it would actually move the wave further in frequency. So you see that the higher the demand on the switching power supply would change the frequency in which it transmits all these noises. It's very, very interesting. But well, you know, KC Red Dragon, you know, switching power supplies emit everywhere because they are, you know, they send, to be so small, a switching power supply will take the power and change it from 60 hertz, in which it cannot, because you cannot have a 60 hertz power supply in a small enclosure. It heats up too much. So what they do, they take that 60 hertz and they move it up to 22 kilohertz. And it spurs all sorts of harmonics everywhere. And that shows up everywhere. And of course there's devices, electronic devices, you know. Even this TV probably does some noise, you know. I'm sure if I'd look at the very big spectrum, turn the TV off for 2 seconds, turn it back on, I might see some of the lines disappear. There's also, KC Red Dragon, the switching power supply, that's why they're so small. And that's why they're popular for many things, because the switching power supply added something that was, you know, in the 80s, when you'd buy something, it was huge. If it took a lot of power, it was huge. Because they only had, you know, that big chunky transformer with the circuit around it in order to give out all the power. It's the only way they could do it. Then came along that fantastic switching power supply technology. And switching power supply, what it does is it takes the 60 hertz current and it shifts it up to like 22 kilohertz. So 22 kilohertz, you can actually have a lot of power there with very, very little heat dissipation. So you can shove that in a very small thing. You know, ever wondered why a iPhone little white cube can actually give 2 amps to an iPad in such a small container? Switching power supply technology gives that. It reduces the heat by putting the transformer, the electric current, the AC, at a much higher frequency. It compensates. It removes, it gives less heat. Or else they wouldn't be able to put that little white cube and give it, you know, give 2 amps of power from it. Where in the 80s, with 2 amps of power, you had that big transformer and all the circuit around it that generated a lot of heat. And if you got a linear power supply, if you plug 5 amps of power, you ask 5 amps of power out of it, look at how hot it comes. And it's huge and heavy. So it's very, very, you know, different in technology. MDK2 says, one of those switching power supply wavy lines affects my reception of WBC Q7490. Sometimes it's right on that frequency. You know what? It moves all the time. The wavy line interference moves all the time. And you know what? Sometimes I'll listen to some broadcasts in the clear. Next day I'll listen to the same broadcast. That damn waving line is directly on it. Almost impossible to listen to. It's amazing. So, Yeah, there's a few things that you can see. Matt Radio DXer says it makes sense to me that noise is greater in the evenings when everyone's home. There are a few things patterns actually that I can see. I see a pattern of a little more noise in the evening. I see a pattern of more noise in the wintertime. Why? Because we're actually using so much power because of the heating and everything that actually even the power lines are emitting more noise. Jerry, how's the noise lately? It's steadily increasing to a point where if I actually should, and something that I never thought of doing, and that I actually would have been nice to see, is take, I've been here 17 years. If I could have made a video of specific frequencies with the S meter showing how much noise I've got at specific frequencies, and do it once a year for the past 17 years, I think we would see that the S meter had a steady increase of higher and higher noise. One thing for sure here is that when I moved from where I was before to here, the first thing I noticed is here there was a lot more noise than where I lived before. Where I lived before, it was so quiet, it was amazing. I could DX there. But when I got here, one of the things that kind of discouraged me a little bit is I plugged in my receiver and I was like, okay, kind of really noisy here. So look at that one. Look at that one here. So it was already really had more noise here than there was before. So that's one of the things that I had to cope with already. But I think as time goes by, the noise is steadily increasing. Hey John D, I think it was last week you did a live satellite broadcast. Had to go to work and could not watch the broadcast. Was going to watch a recorded show, but the recorded show was not posted. Oh, it's supposed to be posted. But John, you know that the recorded show for the satellite is on the VHF channel, not this channel. I'm going to check if it is, but let me just check it out quickly here. If I check it out quickly, here, it is posted, but it's on a different channel. So maybe you have not seen it on that channel. So here is the channel. Paste. Just to give you an idea, because it's on the other channel because it was a VHF UHF video. I didn't put it on the shortwave channel. So VHF UHF channel is the one where it is. Yeah, that's why, because when a lot of people said, well, you should have posted there, but the thing is, I like to make a difference in the separation from shortwave only stuff here and the VHF UHF range, which is different for me. So I thought, two different channels. So thanks MDK2 also for sharing the link. There's a lot of stuff like that. The LED street lights kick off a lot of noise indeed. So the power supply, a really good switching power supply actually does not transmit a lot of noise. If you take a very high quality switching power supply, they are done in a way that the shielding and everything in it gives out very little noise. But it's very complex, and today's cheap electronics mean that they are just barely putting the parts needed. Just the parts needed to do what it needs to do, and that's it. If you look at the power supply from China, or even the cheap ones that are like $3 or $4, and you're like, okay, for $3, you didn't put a lot of electronics in there, that's for sure, because you couldn't, you wouldn't, it would cost more than that, and price is a concern very often. So that's something that you got to also think about. What else we have here? Let me check that out. 20-meter band seems to be active.
Delta Sierra, France, thank you very much, and very surprised. Two station codes from Japan 69. Japan 69, the Delta Sugar, France, report 59.5 DBO, is out. Thank you very much, 59 plus many. Your boom Tima and also your friends are in. Also very good copy. Japan 69 Charlie United and Japan 69 Delta Sugar. Very surprised. Thank you, friends. Best 73 and good weekend. Bye-bye. Yes, beautiful signal from San Lucia. Thank you very much, friends. Bye-bye. Any Japanese, the Japan station, good.
Oh, very weak, but
Bravo, Sierra, correct?
very weak. But I'm hearing the Japanese guy very weak on 14183.
To North America. Antenna number 1, direction to North America. Please stand by. I correct you. Antenna number 2, direction to you. Stand by.
Interesting propagation on 20 meters. MDK2 says, one thing I need to record, get this weird pattern of brief tones on 6900 range almost every night around 6:30 p.m. That's interesting. They cascade across the band, and it's cool looking, but also annoying when I'm looking for pirates. That's interesting. Wonder what they could be. Some kind of local stuff. Can I do another satellite show soon? I'll be checking into that, but for sure I will be doing another another satellite show. Absolutely. Thor Henning says German did antenna out of used umbrella. Did amazing. Pieces, yeah. Well, there are antenna pattern software that you can do that often can help you do all sorts of patterns with almost anything that's metal, and you can actually look at how you do it. So yeah, I got two of these shirts. I got this one, which is I'm here because you broke something. And the other one is, no, I will not fix your computer. They were given to me as a gift. The S value is, yes, there's a relation between the S value and dBm power, but I don't remember. Exactly the exact relation to that scale, and I know that I believe it's S9 has a very specific dBm power or a microvolt. I think it's microvolt power reading to give S9 a specific, but I don't remember the scale exactly. That's what may be a dumb question, but these switching power supplies are just present in different electronic devices. Well, they're everywhere basically, because they are, they need, since everything is logic today, almost all the electronics need to supply low voltage from the AC current we have. So basically, they're everywhere, and even within a device, there could be more than one switching power supply for different values and different things. So it's everywhere. You know, even this TV has a switching power supply to power its circuit. Everything has a switching power supply today. They're all using that, and it's all integrated within the circuit board of a device. They don't have to be outboard. A lot of them are within the device. Simply, you know, I've got a radio here, a $10 radio that has a switching power supply, which is the cheapest thing you can even have as a switching power supply. And the funniest thing is, it actually makes reception of medium wave signals impossible in that radio, because its own switching power supply makes too much noise, which is kind of dumb when you think about it. Hey Fastload, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. So much for the R8600 coming out in early 2017. Now we're in mid. Yeah, seems that that process of being approved takes a long, long time. God. Richard Cook's receiving Voice of Korea on 13.7.60 and 15.245. So yeah, PC Red Dragon, I will do a satellite show soon. I will not announce anything right now, but soon. 14.283, apparently we have Iceland. That's exotic. That's kind of exotic. See if I hear anything. Can I fix your lawn mowing? I'm not that much of a mechanical fixer, I gotta say. Yeah, I need a store. I need to put a store. Okay, John Ritson, thank you. 50 microvolt for S9. So we know that S9 is 50 microvolts. I remember there was a specific, but I didn't remember which one, what amount it was. I hear something. Not very strong, but I hear something on 14.283. There's a lot of signals on 20 meters.
KD0, Mike. KD0, YVA, 59. You are 59, Roger. Roger, thank you. Italy Tango 9, Radio Golf Yankee, portable for beaming stateside.
Very strong station from Italy. 14.285. Very strong station from Italy. Yeah, MDK2. I have my dishwasher. My dishwasher, when it is working, is a horrible noisemaker. I hear it all across the shortwave spectrum. So when I start the dishwasher, I make sure that I'm not going to listen to shortwave for the next few hours. Can tell you that. No, not all signals are there, Bobby, in the interval signal app, unfortunately. But one of the great places is, for those that wonder, is intervalsignals.net is the place for all interval signals. This is the place to go. Intervalsignals.net. Amazing. Really amazing. Every interval signal is here, of the past and the present. There are a few missing, but there's not a lot of them missing. You know, you can choose, like, if you want to hear I don't know, the old Radio Netherlands interval signal. You go here, and you know, you just go to vintage Radio Netherlands from hey, there's many Radio Netherlands here. So let's check a Radio Netherlands vintage. So here, let's take 19. They even have the ones from different relay stations. So it's pretty amazing. So they I can open those with something. Okay, this one's a lot of. So they have interval signals for everywhere. Great place. If you guys want to listen to interval signals, and especially if you're like me, interval signals from the past and become nostalgic. Great website for that. I can tell you. But yeah, the app does have a lot missing on it, for sure. Hey Tim Grooms, nice to have you on board. You need one? They're available on the web. There's this website that sells them. So they are kind of fun. I like wearing them when I go to play Swiss Radio International. My favorite, Mad Radio DX. Let's check it out. Swiss Radio International. It was Switzerland. Let's check it out. Switzerland. Swiss Radio International from vintage from 2000.
You're tuned to Swiss Radio International in Bern. Stay tuned for our programs to Southwest Europe in English, German, French and Italian on 15.315 MHz.
Swiss Radio International.
You're tuned to Swiss Radio International in Bern. Stay tuned for our programs to Southwest Europe in English, German, French and Italian.
Amazing. 14244 is Norway. Let's check it out. Is it our Norwegian guy that we heard last winter? 14244. Not hearing anything right now. Yeah, thanks for the link, PLF Radio, about the relations to S-meter and then microvolts and everything. Hey, David in Barcelona, nice to have you on board. Yeah, I remember listening to these interval signals back when I was young, and just being amazed before I knew what they were about and what they were really all about, basically. I can tell you that. And the excess, when I hear those interval signals, you can hear QRM from other station. It takes me back, way back. Oh yeah. And there's a lot of those on that website that are shortwave recordings, and you can hear the interference from adjacent stations and the high pitched tones. And yeah, it does bring us back, really back in time. It's just so amazing when you think about it. I can tell you, really cool to have that, for sure. So I don't think I can hear that low of a frequency at this time, but let's try it. Really nothing on that frequency range. Still too early for 5 megahertz here, Richard. We're still 3 hours away before sunset. So those low frequencies are not there yet. So other utility stations that we can hear, of course, are aeronautical frequencies. So there are aeronautical bands where actually you can listen to airplanes over the Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. So of course they are concentrated in specific bands. What you can hear all sorts of communications from a specific tower. For example, here I hear very often New York, Gander, with the transatlantic flights, stuff like that. The HF frequencies used usually, aero frequencies, HF. I'm trying to. I always have to use a list for that because I'm always like, man. So they're scattered all across the bands. By the way, they're like they'll be in the, starting at about I believe the lowest I hear is like 2.9 megahertz, somewhere around there. So you got them scattered at different areas, specific frequency ranges. Just gonna check out here the frequency ranges that I need to. I had a super nice list a little earlier, and so aeronautical HF radio map. So basically, oh, by the way, there's a very nice map that I'm going to show you guys. I believe it's where is it? So okay, anywhere in the lower part of 3 megahertz, mid 5 megahertz, 5.5 megahertz, around there you will hear some. There's different specific frequencies, by the way, and I'll share them in the list here, just to give you guys an idea in the chat room. So here is a aeronautical frequency. There's a map, and there's different frequencies used for the different routes around the world, and of course depending on where you are, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, and so on. One of the cool things, it is fun too, is to listen to these, the airplanes calling and giving their position, reporting their position. Sometimes you'll hear a lot of interesting things, like emergency situations. One video that I have that a lot of people have found quite interesting is when I was in the expedition at Perry Island, was last year, 2 years ago, and I suddenly heard an airplane. They had a passenger on board that had a heart attack or something, and they asked to talk to a doctor and everything, and you can feel the emergency situation going through, and it's pretty amazing. So there's a lot of that happening, and so it's fun. It's fun to tune around and listen to all of that. As it happens, there's also weather volmets that give weather stuff. No, I'm at Radio DXer. There's a lot of stuff that you can hear on the HF aeronautical frequencies. There's still a lot of activity. Yes, we are close to the point, and that's why it's time to listen. We are close to the point where, we're at close to the end. We're really close to the end of HF communications with aeronautical stuff. So, if you want to listen to airplanes over the Atlantic, Pacific, whatever, it's time to do it now, because in a couple of years we probably won't have anything anymore on those frequency ranges, as they are going to move also to satellite communications, basically. So we've got to do it right now, for sure. So yeah, Peter Arsen 4625, the Russian buzzer. it's still too early. It's still too early. So for that here. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to. I'm going to go to the 8906 around there. We'll be checking out for some aeronautical communications here, and be checking out for anything that we can listen to for that. So. So the plan is, as David says, the plan is to move on to SATCOM communications with systems, controller pilot data link communications, which are basically text messages. So, you know, lots of stuff coming. That's going to leave the shortwave bands, unfortunately. So let's check out, let's just see if I can check out one of those. So 879, I know that there's a lot. Let's check out 11. Try to get some live communications here from airplanes. See if there's something we can pick up at some point. There will be, of course, some stuff for sure. Something here, what's that? Okay, let's check it out. I know one that I hear in the daytime a lot, 13306. With New York. There's one that usually comes in regularly in the daytime. I have much more communications in the nighttime usually, but there we go. There's something here, 15306. So let's check out. It's not very strong. Keep it at low volume. If I hear anything, we'll go and jump to the communications. So there's a lot of stuff that can be heard on the HF bands for airplanes. And like I said, you know, it's time to really listen, because as they are moving away. Well, there was something on 11175, the U.S. Air Force frequency. So as they're moving away, it's going to be the time to listen to and check out the list and the frequencies that they use, because there's a lot of activity. In the evening here, I hear the 5 megahertz frequencies super active. Super active. There's also volmets, weather stations that give their weather, like this one from the UK on 11253. It's not very strong. So this, I believe, is the Royal Air Force Volmet 11253. So you'll hear some of these weather stations scattered for sure. KC Red Dragon, the local frequencies. Okay, if you're listening, for example, here in Montreal, I got an airport. For local communications between the airport and planes, it's 108 to 136 megahertz. But once they get over the Atlantic Ocean, they can't use VHF because it's just line of sight. So if they're like, you know, 1,000 kilometers away, the only way to communicate was using the HF shortwave frequencies. And so they're scattered, and there's a lot of communications coming through on the different frequencies on the HF bands because of that. There's a lot of stuff happening with that. So basically, it's there's an emergency action message right now. But VHF is used, yes, in the local communications with the airports. there's some two-way communication going on 11175. So here is Paul the Cat saying hello to everybody. Our mascot, our official mascot. I should make t-shirts with Paul the Cat and a radio or something and sell them. Spain good on 14315 according to Jerry. Let's check it out. 14315. Yeah, it's not super strong, but he's there. I just heard him say Valencia. Jan Nicholas Lawrence, exactly 108 to 118 for the non-directional beacon stuff and VOR, and 118 to 136 for voice and everything. Richard's not hearing anything on 11175. Tor, I'm using a 22 meter long sloper antenna that is in my backyard. So basically. This is my main antenna. It's a little noisy, but just gonna okay. It's a little noisy, but it is really, surprising. Even though I'm in really in a very urban environment, and there's a lot of noise around me, I still can do some DX to some point. So. Yep, one more appearance of Paul the Cat on the show. So, yes, in the UHF range, VHF UHF range, there's some communications. There's two types of communications in that range. The 200 and 300. Up to like 225 to 400 megahertz range. You have military aircraft, but you also have some local aircrafts transmitting in that frequency range in the UHF. So yes, they do. They do broadcast there. Yeah, I think that could be an idea. That's an idea that's been I've been looking at different websites to make T-shirts, because one of the ideas I do have is having Paul the Cat and some kind of shortwave radio stuff. Pattern on it that could be an official shortwave radio memorabilia that you could purchase. For sure. So I've got this right. Lower frequency signals travel longer distances. Yeah, to some point, Casey Red Dragon, but not just that. It's the fact that a VHF signal is only line of sight. Where if you transmit on shortwave, because you use the ionosphere and the signals bounce off it, you can now talk to, thousands of kilometers distance because of the properties of the shortwave spectrum. So they use that in talking to the different airports that they need to communicate on the shortwave bands once they're over the ocean, for example, because it's one of the only ways that they can broadcast. Man, I've got cat air everywhere. Richard Cook, I do want to have a Wellbrook, that's for sure. I just need the money to buy it, which is not there right now. And I've got kind of a lot of other priorities, I got to say. So, Tor, it's 22 meter long sloper. A sloper is a long wire antenna that's at an angle. Okay, it starts from the east part of the yard in the backyard near the fence, and goes way up to the top of the third story building here, and it's 22 meters long, and it's got a 9-to-1 balloon at the end before it goes into my feed line in the home. Peter Arson probably heard this before. What do you think of the internet and cellular forms of communication compared to this? And what are the purpose of analog communications in the future? Well, there's different things that you got to understand here in communication. So first of all, yes, cell communications and even the internet is a fantastic way to broadcast and do things. But the biggest thing that that happens with the shortwave bands versus, say, the internet, because I get that all the time. Why wouldn't people listen to, say, a station on the internet? You remember that internet and cell communication still require you to have some form of paid service. So it's okay for people that have the money to do it, but the only thing that happens is that most people, for example, in Africa, a lot of people don't have the money for that. In Europe, don't have a lot of money for that. In Asia. So there's a lot of people that have cheap radios that actually do a perfect job at receiving shortwave signals. So shortwave, for example, is a great way to attain and to get to an area because there are millions of radios out there. But also, the internet and the cell communications are of no use in disaster areas. If there's a big earthquake in a country, I can bet you the cell phone and the internet doesn't work anymore. But the shortwave works, still works, and will continue to work. And an example of that, the Nepal earthquake, when it happened, BBC, Voice of America, all of these stations decided, okay, we got to increase our shortwave output. Why? Because now you can actually, communicate with these people that are in the disaster areas. So it's very, it's cool for that. And it's you don't need to pay any subscription to listen to a signal on the on the shortwave bands. There's tons of radios out there that cost that are already there that can receive the signals. So it's I think there's still a future for all of that types of broadcasts, and in emergency situations also. And also, there's the on-off switch possibility of if your country goes to war or anything, or there's the possibility that your country blocks certain websites from being viewed when it's like a viewpoint that's not agreed with the government, where shortwave signals will propagate across borders. And even if there are some jamming, it is, and we have seen this in the 80s with the Russians jamming. It's imperfect. A jammer will one day, yes, work at some point, but not all the time. So, hey there, Venner 6. You seem to have a higher nurse than I have here in Villeray on 14315 with my G5 RV dipole, S5 versus S2, S3. Do you still use the end-fed antenna? Yep. Totally, Venner 6. But here it's a very noisy place where I am. Now I did push that RF gain maybe a little high, but it's a very noisy environment here, for sure. And yes, there's ADSB on 1090 megahertz. Actually, I had the fun the other day. I have the RTL dongle, and I have the ADSB decoder on the Android phone, and I just plugged in the RTL dongle on my Android phone, and with ADSB software, could see on the map where the planes were around me here. It's always a fun thing to do. Victor, hello there. Victor Osorio says, what do you think they use when they stop using HF aeronautical? Yeah, they're going to use a satellite system. That will be a better choice probably. You know, I understand one thing for things that are extremely important. For things that are extremely important, like, you know, aircraft over the Atlantic Ocean, for example. One of the things you got to know is you know, if there's bad propagation, if there's a geomagnetic storm in progress, these airplanes will also have difficulty contacting the different airports. And one of the things that is important is to keep track of these planes all the time. So one of the things for sure is to make sure that, you know, they can have reliable communications. And I think, like, you know, and I do understand why on some things, like especially aeronautical stuff, moving to something that will probably be a much more efficient way of communication is, of course, a good idea. You know, that's for sure. And Radio the Extra says, Radio Australia did that during a disaster. Now, of course, there are no more. That service is no longer available if something similar were to happen again. Exactly. You know, that's Radio Australia. There's really a short side. They're not looking. They weren't looking into the usefulness of their services, and a lot of you know, Pacific Islands also were going nuts on the fact that Radio Australia was stopping all of that, for sure. So you know. So 198 longwave BBC Radio 4, longwave 198 still on the air. So yeah, well, it's getting worse, Venner 6. Like I was saying a little earlier, we're talking about the noise level here, and I would have loved to have a snapshot of the 17 years I've been living here, because I'm sure we could have seen a pattern of higher and higher noise all the time. But eventually, you know, I'm going to try to get a Walbrook with that antenna. Hopefully, it's going to be much quieter, and maybe I'll be able to DX again. You know, I still can DX, but you know, but there are some frequency ranges where I'm not too bad. You know, in the lower part, like you know, 4, 5, 6 megahertz, I actually am. It's very surprising how the noise is lower in that region, and I can listen to a lot of things. Pretty amazing. We all hope to have lower noise, but unfortunately it's getting worse. Richard Cook's receiving BPM on 10 megahertz in the UK. Steve Quilter, hello there. Nice to have you on board. Yep, not bad at all. M3CSP, Steve, hello there. So really nice to have all of you on board. For sure. Hey, take care, PLF Radio. Always nice to have you on board. And take care. Jerry says BBC Antarctica show should be on in a few days. Oh yeah, and it's around the solstice every year. They usually test it out a little bit before, but around the summer solstice, June 21st, they have the Antarctica BBC special transmission for Antarctica. They haven't yet given the frequencies, I believe. So. Peter Arsan, what is your largest influence of noise levels during your 17 years? Wi-Fi, microwaves, what has changed over the 17 years? It is it's mostly the electronics around everything that's happening around you. You know, part of the noise could be from utility stuff. For example, here where my antenna is in the back, we have, of course, the phone company, and the phone company has, you know, DSL, internet, everything in there. So I suspect part of the noise comes from that. Also, there's the general electronics of everybody around that is making a difference. You know, as the electronics got cheaper, it means they also made cheaper designs and everything, and including the switching power supplies. So that gives us an idea that basically that cheaper design makes higher noise everywhere. A lot of the noise I got is not coming from here, because I did check everything, and the best that I've ever seen for that is that about a year ago there was a power outage, but only in my street. In the back, the other street, I could see that the power was on, and my antenna is in the backyard. So what happened is when power went out, I was like, oh cool, power is out, turn on the radio, because usually noise is low. Well, what happened is my noise was still exactly like this. And that's where I understood that my noise really comes from somewhere else, not from here. And it was a very, very fantastic example. I was actually immensely surprised to see that the noise was as high with no power on this street. So it's kind of surprising. And I was surprised. I thought the noise would have been lower. Hey Jane Dagger, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. So Venner 6 says, I found that by moving the antenna around on the usable property you can find a quieter spot. And it worked on my rooftop against LED and plasma TV from neighbors. Yeah, I did experiment. I have a very, very... here's the biggest problem, Venner, here is that, I rent. So having an antenna here is a little complex of an issue. I did several different ways of posting an antenna. There is a slight variation. There's a slight variation in noise. But, I've had a very long wire, north-south, very high, up in the air. I had a wire up in the neighbor's tree. I have this sloper now. And whatever position I did, most of the time I was still very, very noisy, with a slight variation, Oh yes, of course, moving, having power outages is fantastic. In a power outage where everybody goes crazy, I'm the one that's happy and smiling. Turn on the radio and it's like, wow. But it's sad, because when you get a power outage for a couple of hours, you listen in and you're like, wow, this is so cool. And then the noise comes back and you're like, oh man, what else do we have? What's the question, Casey Red Dragon? I don't understand the question. David says, in my case, I think most of my noise in my year-old new QTH comes from the house itself, but I still haven't determined what causes it exactly. Yeah, and the neighbors are just... it's just amazing, all the noise that might come from neighbors. Yeah, absolutely. These wavy lines that are moving and dancing around. Lots of switching power supply stuff in there, of course. So, yep. Well, Venner 6, the funny story I have with that experimentation at night is when I actually put a very long wire up to my neighbor's yard on the north side, and I actually hooked up to a telephone pole that was there, and it was midnight and I was making no noise. I was wearing black, and I was hooking up my wire, which was at that end up to here, close to 100 feet, and it was just so funny. But the funniest thing about that one is that when I did it, my cat was outside, and even though I didn't see a thing, he saw very well that there was a wire on the floor moving. So he was like running around and jumping on the wire all the time. It was like, come on, Stop doing that. We gotta go now. So he was running around with the wire. Oh God. So just amazing. Hey Jonathan Robinson, nice to have you here. So yeah, a lot of these noises were these lines of the damn, switching power supply. So hey, you're watching the Shortwave Show. We're now at our 2 hour and 6 minute mark. Pretty cool. Just a quick little post if you want to help me out in continuing what I have started here and doing all of these live shows and posting videos and everything. You can help me out by sending a PayPal donation at the Yahoo email that I just posted in the chat room. You can also become a patron at patreon.com, and there you can set up a one-time donation. You can become one of the regular donators and become a patron. Like I have a few donators or monthly, giving monthly amounts. Much appreciated. Helps me a lot in continuing what I do. And if you enjoy my live shows, if you enjoy what I do, please consider. It's really, really something. And who knows, might make me get a Wellbrook soon, for sure. Can I watch 17.800? 17.800. Absolutely nothing here. Nothing at all in 17.800 here. So let's go down a little bit just to see what we can receive. Oh, that range. Okay. Well, not a lot of stuff here. Something weak on 17.845. As we have. A lot of stuff here. 17.715. There's a little something here. Mostly noise here. Let's check the 19 meter band just to see. Go to the 19 meter band here. So 19 meter band. We've got not a lot of stuff. Very weak 15.710. Let's check it out here. There's WEWN 15610.
Especially about Hebrews, or maybe it's puzzled you, cause you to kind of scratch your head and say, well, what does this mean, or how does this fit into our life even today as Catholic Christians? And especially we're going to look at chapter 5, where we see the communion of saints, 888-318-7884. Before we talk about the saints and jump into that, Shane, you actually, you like to say that in Hebrews chapter 10 is what you call the clearest statement in the New Testament.
One of those signals on rather quiet 19 meter band. WWV not very strong at 15 megahertz. Interesting. Cuban lady on 10715. Let's check it out. Ain't hearing nothing much right now. Yeah, the Cab Fife Trump thing. Whatever that means. Peter Arson, what's a Wellbrook? It is an antenna. And a Wellbrook is a magnetic loop antenna. So because of its electrical properties, it tends to receive less noise than, for example, a long wire. So it actually improves also because of that on the reception of signals. So I hear it just slightly. Cuban lady on 10715. So, but they're really expensive. But everybody seems to everybody that owns one, and Richard Cook has one also. Everybody that owns one seems to just love it. So I'll have to at some point get one. Make sure. I'm waiting, by the way, for two things now. I'm still waiting for the Degen DE31, that kind of loop antenna, that cheap loop antenna thing. It's been a month now since I've ordered, so I'm hoping to have that soon and talk about it. Some of you have it and say that it's pretty surprising. So it's kind of a little cheap loop antenna from Degen, also called the KA31, I believe. I've ordered it a month ago. I still haven't received it, so I would guess in the next week or so. And I have ordered a Tivdio V115 shortwave radio. It's a $20 shortwave radio with digital readout. So that I've ordered also. I'll be talking about it once I get it. Be surprised to see what it actually, how it is actually in performance. So of course that's all coming on the channel for sure. Jonathan Robertson, yes, this is HD SDR, and it is controlling a FEDRI software-defined receiver in my office, and I'm receiving that from Wi-Fi, by the way. And I've lowered the spectrum range. Here, as you see, 600 kilohertz wide, because I actually see when I stretch it out to the max that I can do with this Wi-Fi here, I actually have 1.5 megahertz wide. But I was scared that using the full spectrum would use so much, would solicitate so much my router that it would have maybe interfered with my HD output on the internet. So I've put it back at 600 kilohertz to make sure. So yeah, that little dot. Every time you see that little dot, it's so cool. You know, yesterday 3 in a row, really fast. The ionospheric sounder thing, and you see it come through, and it's fun because here on the bottom you see that little peak moving really fast across the spectrum. It is just, you know, if there's one thing that is amazing here, is how you know, the visual, and for that I gotta say I love the SDR for that. The visual of all the signals it's just so amazing. It's just so amazing. Yeah, I should check that out. Get Walbrook as a sponsor. That could be cool. I should write them, actually. We never know. Never know. That could be a good idea. Richard says loves his Walbrook, got in more stations now. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Jerry says got the Degen loop. Very good. It's a round glimmer of hope in an RF noisy world. So I'm you know, I'm waiting for the for that thing to arrive. On 17920 I've got something also, but it seems to be just like a carrier. Like, you know, I have this thing, but it must be local. It moves, but it must be local because it's 24 hours there. So for me, I think it's local. Jonathan says, cool Tatso, thanks. Looks great on large. Oh, it's fantastic. You know what? I'm in love with watching the SDR on this 50-inch screen. I mean, once you start using it like this, you just don't want to go. You just don't want to go into a small 17-inch screen anymore, for sure. So I don't think there will be an ephedrine giveaway, Jerry. Oh God. So the visuals are amazing because you see everything, and there's that added moment where also you're tuning in a frequency range, and as you're tuning in that frequency range, you suddenly see a signal appear at some point, and you're like, God, there's something here. I have to check what that is, and that I gotta say is also extremely cool. And you know what? There are signals that I've heard recently that I would have missed on a regular radio because I would be tuning a frequency and not know what's happening around it. And now I do know what's happening around it. And for that, it's just so cool. So, I'm having a lot of fun. And it's fun also because I can actually, take any laptop that I have. If I go in the kitchen, prepare food, I bring the laptop in the kitchen, start HDSDR, and just tune the ephedrine from anywhere in my home via Wi-Fi, which is cool also. It's really, really, really nice. So it's pretty cool. So, your laptop's hard drive's on the way out. Darn hard drives. Mick says he snagged a Sony AN LP1 on eBay for what I think is a good price. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. on the Sony AN LP1. So give us some, when you get it, Mick, tell us what you think. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, got to clone that drive if you don't want to lose anything. The Ryzen CPUs from AMD look they look pretty amazing, I gotta say, in performance. But we always have to be careful with these things because they look amazing on paper and with numbers, but between performance on paper and performance in the real life, there's such a big difference in the computers. It's just amazing. So let's check out here. We'll tune a little bit. We'll continue from 15 megahertz and go down slowly. See what we can hear. So, okay. WWV. Let's check out if there's anything there. Let's lower a little bit the noise floor here. There we go. Okay, anything here? This is tone. There's radio teletype around 14, 4, 6, 7, 6. Sending out RY all the time. What else do we have? 20 meter band. Let's check the 20 meter band a little bit. Okay, let's go. Let's make this our main band. 14,350. Here we go. So this is the 20 meter band. And let's try to see what signals are in here. So, something here.
Okay, install.
Some amazing, powerful signals. Sugar 57 Delta X-ray. I've heard this guy so many times lately. He's from Slovenia.
Hello, 59 today, over. All right, so 59 in Ohio, thank you. 57, Delta X-ray. Charlie Oscar Delta, hello, James. Moving today, 59 plus. All this will be played. Okay, Kilo to Tango Radio, Delta CT1 CJJ 73. November 3, Bravo, Uniform Sierra.
Take care, Jonathan. Always nice to have you on board. See you soon. Next radio show is Saturday, June 10th. So next Saturday, no show tomorrow. So Saturday, June the 10th, next Saturday is our next radio show. Hope you can join in. And fun to see everybody. Always nice. KM4HOC, Jonathan.
Japan, from CT1 CJ73.
CT1.
Okay, November 9, go ahead.
Let's check it out. Reports of a pirate station on 6942. Check it out. Nothing heard over here for the pirate station. So JT65 is on 14076 usually. 14070 is usually BPSK 31. Let's go down frequency range. See what else we can receive. Let's put the spectrum back. Okay. WWCR on 13845.
Like this, that I'm just holding a piece of paper that represents only that piece of paper, aside from obviously the programs and other things, but in my personal life, that piece of paper, my mind automatically looked at the line, and I folded it up and I put it in my pocket quietly and didn't say anything.
There's some Kodar. Let's zoom in on that Kodar signal. Little chirps of Kodar, and you can see it appear here. When it's strong, it's cool because you see the sweeps here. So these are ocean. This is a type of radar where you could see the ocean currents and the ocean wave heights. They're scattered all across the North America. Even in Canada, we have some. So KC Red Dragon, the ionospheric sounders. There's quite a few of them in different areas. There's some in the United States, and there's a lot of them scattered across Europe and everywhere. And they are there to, verify what frequency to use and different types of transmissions. But there's different areas where they come from, including North America. There's a few places in North America that have them. I actually will do a little more research on those and maybe do a video or something about it. I think it would be interesting to see where some of them come from, for sure. So Dagger, what type of the RTL SDR? Usually you need the RTL SDR DLL file that Mad Radio DXer has. Two things you need to do. You need that DLL file, the RTL SDR DLL for HD SDR, because it's not there by default. And you also need to wow, look at that thing that showed up here. What is that? Some kind of really strong, powerful noise here. And you also need, on the RTL SDR, you also need to install the specific driver for the RTL SDR for it to work well. 14250.
You were 5 by 9, over.
Pretty strong station, 14250. We'll just wait before it comes back.
QSL, thank you, Joe. Kilo number 8, Romeo, Uniform Echo. Kilo 8, Romeo, Uniform Echo, right? Okay, Greg, nice seeing you again. You are 20 over and 20 over 9, QSL. Yeah, QSL, good to hear you again. Also, my fingers are on 5 plus 20, big signal, 73, thank you. Yes, almost 1 year we worked last time in August 23. So actually, I'm nice seeing you again. Kilo 8 to Radio United Echo, CJJ. Whiskey Bravo 5, Japan Hotel, Yankee. Okay, who's the Whiskey Bravo 5? Who's the Whiskey Bravo 5? Go ahead. Whiskey Bravo 5, Juliet.
Yep, very important, Jane Dagger. You install the Zadig. Using Zadig, you have to replace the driver in Windows because it has a default RTL driver. That's not the one that works. You use the Zadig app. It will install a specific driver for that RTL. Once that is done, in HD SDR, you need the DLL file that Mad Radio DXer was talking about. And you have to shove it in the same folder as HD SDR. Once you do that, you should be able to have the SDR working.
You were 10 over 9, over. Yes, it's the 80s, okay, and I see studio. So it's confirmed on July 7 July 2014 on 6 meters, and actually 20 meters on February 28, 2016. Nice to hear you again, Dave. Victor Ocean 1 Charlie Oscar Delta from Portugal, City 1 CJJ. Great weekend.
And remember, Jane Dagger, remember, the wind needs to blow from the west for it to work on Windows. Hey, Juan Amigo, nice to have you here, as usual. And David shared the perfect quick start guide for RTL SDR for it to work. And remember, wind from the west, very important. If the wind's from the east, the RTL will not work.
It is chance in my life. I hope one day I will go. Thanks again, and nice to hear you again, Peter. Whiskey 4 India Mike Delta CT1 CKK 73.
Do I get the weather fox on 9110, 9110? Yep. Let's even try the code. Weather facts. Op mode. Here we go. Let's see if we have something coming out of this. It's not very strong, but it's there. Slowly decoding a weather map. So these are all types of utility stations. So this is a weather facts broadcast. 9110, I believe, comes from Boston, Massachusetts, and they send all sorts of weather charts. And you can use FLDG or even multi-PSK does it. And these noise transform themselves into all sorts of weather maps. So it's pretty cool for that. It was a little noisy and a little... here it shifted. Actually, when I shift window, it does that. And also the bad reception makes it kind of a little crooked here. But you can see there was something here. This looks like the southern tip of Florida over here. So this is probably at the end of the weather chart. When signals are strong, though, it usually is better. Now it's messing up. Let me just try it with, instead of this one, we'll do a different multi-PSK. Check it out with multi-PSK. So it's the Tropical Cyclone Marine Danger graphic from the National Hurricane Center. And that black bar should be at the left, not right smack in the middle, but anyways. Multi-PSK is a software to decode different digital modes. It's actually an amazing software because it decodes so many things. It has the crappiest interface in the world, but it does really well what it needs to do. Multi-PSK is one of those programs, and if you pay for it, you also have access to professional modes that have other things that you can add to. If you don't pay for it, the professional modes I think work only for a few minutes. Well, FLDG, KC Red Dragon, on strong signals, actually been able to have some really nice decodes. But there's more stability in multi-PSK, I have to say. That's a pretty nice decode, though. Very, very nice. Very, very clear. And there it's ended. And usually they start off a new. There's quite a lot of frequencies where you can get, and actually there's a very, very nice, I'm going to give you guys one of the best, if you are searching for weather facts, and here we go, let's check out how this is going to decode on multi-PSK. Check it out here. HF facsimile. So here is the best resource that is updated regularly by Noaa, the National Weather Center. This list is from November 9, 2016. But if you guys want to decode weather facts and want schedules of where they are and what time, get this PDF. This PDF from the Noaa Weather Center has all the weather facts around the world with their times and frequencies. And it is posted, updated regularly, so you'll know which ones are valid or not. You need to move it to the right. We'll try to move that to the right. And there we go. I think now we'll have a better chart. We'll leave chart decode. I've moved the black line to the edge. So that list is amazing, by the way, the one that I just posted. And these are some of the things I can do. You know, there's digital modes being used. There's nav text. There's all sorts of things. So you guys are going to see I've moved the black line, so we should have a better looking chart eventually. Yeah, it's an amazing list, and it's updated quite regularly. So this one's from November, and at least once a year they update it with what's the latest in the fax transmissions, the weather fax from around the world. Hey, XN80Xer, hello there, good afternoon. Keegan in Northwest Arkansas, 85 Fahrenheit and partly sunny. Here it's about 15 Celsius, maybe 60. I believe there's still some things being sent out. I recall David seeing somebody post a video that had a Japanese decode recently. If I'm not mistaken, Steve P says, yeah, Kyoto News. I think they still do it. I think they still do it. So look at that. That chart's moving up now. So decoding. Kind of nice. Always been cool. I always found that cool to decode weather facts and all sorts of digital modes via shortwave. Always been cool. Yeah, this is not encrypted stuff, by the way. Yeah, it's just a digital mode. They use different types of digital modes to transmit, all sorts of information. But that's not encrypted or anything. It's just that they're using a special mode in order to push, that list, for example. Maybe not today, but I would say that probably. A lot of the older boats probably, had standard issue, weather fax machines that would decode the different weather fax charts they could use to actually, check out and see the waves, the ocean waves, ocean currents, icebergs, all sorts of things. So it's kind of cool. This one's a nice decode, actually. It's kind of cool. You can see here, 3 June 2017, iceberg analysis. So this is iceberg analysis. Kind of nice. Really interesting chart here. Steve P says Kyoto News is transmitting a fax right now on 8466. Maybe on the west coast. Well, even no, not necessarily, because Pacific is it's pretty much in the sunshine. 8466 might not make it to the west coast. Very interesting. Yeah, really clean decode here. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Yeah, you could, send some kind of art stuff through a fax, I guess. Mostly black and white though, but kind of nice. I gotta say that multi-PSK yes, does a better job at actually decoding WeatherFact charts. You could also send, and that's true, Man Radio DXer, and that's what I wanted to say a little earlier. For a painting with colors, you could send a painting via slow scan TV, for sure. With SSTV, you'll have color, and you'll be able to send a colored picture. On the amateur bands, you can send slow scan television. So you're watching a decode of a WeatherFact chart from, I believe, Boston, 9110 kilohertz. Some of you might have said, oh yeah, but it's 9109 here. Because I'm in upper sideband, I actually I can actually I have to tune downwards a little bit so I have the correct tones to actually decode something. So that looks like Nova Scotia and not Nova Scotia, Newfoundland. It's probably East Coast, Newfoundland and everything. Kind of nice. Kind of nice. The American Ice Service. Really very, very, very interesting. You got the longitudes and latitude lines showing where all of that is. Yeah, very beautiful here. We can really make out the territory very, very easily here. Very, very nice. It's a beautiful decode, actually. It's one of the most beautiful decodes I've seen in a long time. Very, very nice one. Yep, SSTV. It's very random, absolutely. What I do when I want to listen to slow scan television, I'll just post my receiver on 14230, and then I will I just leave it there and wait for an SSTV signal to appear. No, Kevin, why? This is multi-PSK. Multi-PSK. It is actually better at decoding. And yeah, I can save this, I can copy this, I can do snapshot, print screen. I can just take this and save it to my computer if I want to. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And yep, the SSTV is pretty much in the same. Let's check out if there's some SSTV. I don't really hear a lot of it usually. Let's see if anybody's sending out anything, but oh, there's a weak SSTV. Let's check it out. For example, what you see there is part of the code, by the way, Jane Dagger. On the upper left there, CQ SSTV. There's a weak SSTV here. We'll leave it there a little bit, see if anybody transmits something that the software can decode. For sure. Now that one is imperfect because I got only part of it. But would be fun to have a strong one to see a real live decode. For example, here this one is very weak. It's telling me that there's Scotty 1 transmission. SSTV is one of the best for decoding. I've even decoded the International Space Station. SSTV pictures with SSTV. Works really well. So I got some SSTV, but it's very weak right now. We'll see if we can get a stronger signal. We'll try to... SSTV sounds like it depends on the type of SSTV because there's different modes in slow scan television. And slow scan television doesn't always sound exactly the same. Here's a little bit of sound here. It's very weak, unfortunately. Let's see if we can decode something here. We'll see if we can get a strong enough signal, unfortunately. I can actually give you the sound of a slow scan TV if I use transmit mode, okay, and I put it Scotty 1, okay, and what's the transmit thing? So this is transmit mode. So here we go. You'll hear what it sounds like. So that gives you an idea of what it sounds like. That's sending one. Actually, doing that, you guys would have been able to decode it through the stream, basically. Unfortunately, there's not enough strong signals right now. Sad. It'd be really fun to decode one, a real good one. A real good one. And yeah, Android phone, you got Droid SSTV app that works. There's one on iOS also for SSTV that I have on my iPad. I don't remember the name, but it's not free from what I remember. No, there's only amateur bands have SSTV 13606. I've got nothing there except maybe a little bit of the Cuban jamming still left. Slow scan television is mostly used only on the amateur band. The only other time I've seen it used on a non-amateur frequency was on a Mars station, a military station. And they actually send a picture via SSTV. Yeah, 13605 is usually Radio Marti frequency, and often the Cuban are jamming that frequency, and even when Radio Marti is not there, the jamming continues. R2D2, yeah, kind of R2D2 thing. I gotta say, yeah, that little whistle thing, yeah, at the beginning. It's amazing. Amazing. MMSS TV, you get it from... okay, here, I'm going to give you guys a few links for those that want to have the software. First of all, multi-PSK. You get it from this website. So this is for multi-PSK to the code. Here we go. And if you want to have MMSS TV, you can download from this website. And even though it's not been updated for a while, it works up to Windows 10. It works on my Windows 10 computers. And here we go, MMSS TV for the SSTV stuff. Well, these are the two places to get it. 14070 is here is PSK31. So here goes. Let's so let's try 14070 for me is probably some BPSK. Yep, there it goes, BPSK31. So BPSK31, op mode, PSK, PSK, where's PSK? Here it goes. And let's check out the code. So there's a station PJ2LJJ. So here we go. Try to pump up the volume a little bit. So this one's not decoding. There's one in the lower frequency range. There we go. Copy your text at 100% so far. Name, Bill. It's getting weaker a little bit here. So the code's not perfect. Try to get a good one. Here we go. Please K means please answer back. Now there's many different. So this is WA9. There's another one here. Trying to get one really cute. Here's a CQ. CQ, missing on the call. So when you get a really strong one, the codes are nice. As for, let's just check out something here. We're just going to adjust the time and the clock. It's just okay, we're synchronized. Let's try JT65. Not hearing anything right now. There we go. That's JT65 for you. Kevin Y, no, it's quite easy to set up. It's very automatic for most of these software. You just set it up, and you know what? The hardest part is from your radio you need to plug in the audio into the microphone jack of your computer. But if you have a microphone and it's not very noisy around you, I can tell you, you can even use a microphone and it will work. Here we go, our first JT65 decode, R2EA. CQ9DX R2EA. And here's another shot of JT65. We'll see what we can decode. So it's another digital mode used by amateur. I call it the Twitter of mode, because it's very short messages that you send through this one. It is amazing. It is amazing how it can decode even when you don't even hear anything. It still decodes something. It's just amazing. Yes, with the Alinco desktop, it will work fine. It works even with a portable receiver, Kevin. Very easy. You should try it. It's part of the fun. Look at all the stations decoded here. RZ10A, KF4DUE, F5, CT1. This one, 2I0KUJ, EA4, K1, J4, MM0DHQ. Have you seen all the stations in here? It's amazing. These are all amateur radio stations. And when you want to know where these stations are from, what you do is for example, here I'm decoding, so we got call signs. You want to know, for example, a station here is calling CQ, is calling to get a contact with another amateur station. MM0DHQ. So MM0DHQ, you go to QRZ.com and you enter MM0DHQ, and you've got all his information of that station. In Scotland, you've got all the information that you need. You sometimes have pictures. This is probably what his QSL card looks like. So it's really cool for that, and it gives you an idea of, here it goes, pictures of his shack, all sorts of things like that. They're pretty cool. What the guy looks like. And so QRZ.com is nice. There's another one also called QRZCQ. So that is also a call letter search place. So it's very, very, very nice. There we go. LU4VZ. Okay, we have another one, CQ of MM0 that I just said. So what's LU4VZ that I just received here? So you go on QRZ.com and you type LU4VZ. And this one is in Argentina. And it's a station in Argentina. Here you see an antenna with a sunset. He doesn't have any pictures or anything, but this one is from Andres. LU4VZ, Argentina. He's sending right now a CQ calling other stations via JT65 right now. So we're now at 3 hours 5 minutes in our live show for Shortwave Radio, where we hopefully are entertaining you with all sorts of interesting stuff tonight. You know what's cool with this TV also is I can actually also show you guys the codes and all sorts of things live that you guys can actually see, which is very, very cool. So look at that, all these stations transmitted together. VA7, that one is from British Columbia, Canada. TI4, I'm not sure, I think, isn't TI Guatemala, maybe? 9H1AE, isn't that 9H1AE? Where's that? So you go to your QRZ.com, you type 9H1AE, enter, and here we have Savas from Malta. So this one's from Malta, 9H1AE, and he's got QSL information. direct. He's got a blog post where you can check it out in the local club. So now there's a lot of stuff here. His QSOs, from where around the world he made contacts. So it's really, really cool to use these tools to find what you're listening to, basically. That is true, Steve P. Limited number. That's why there's also QRZCQ.com. You can fall back on, because there is a, I believe 25, I believe for a non-ham it's 25 searches per 24-hour period. But you can go to QRZCQ.com if you run out of searches. And of course, and remember, you can help me out with donations if you like the shows and you like the live programs and everything. Patreon.com/radioandcomputers, and also PayPal donations. Thank you very much for everybody that has donated. We had a certain number of donators today. Much appreciated, everybody. Really, really, really helps a lot and helps continue what I'm doing. So thank you very much for all donators. And why not think about a little something if you haven't donated and love what I do. You know, this sound is kind of a little creepy, if you want, on the side, and one of the things that you know is that you just I see a lot of posts of people saying, what's that, and it is JT65, and a lot of people don't know it. Hey, we've got a SV1DZB, so let's check it out. SV1DZB. That station is from Greece. It's Emmanuel Balilakis from Greece. Nothing else here, but we at least know where he is from. So it's kind of really cool. EA4 station from Spain, a K1 station from the US. So the ones on green are CQ, so they are amateurs calling. And the other ones are actually contacts going on. There are no stupid questions. It's just, you know, when we don't know something, we just don't know it. There's absolutely no stupid questions, never. So, Frank Hickson. This is not multi-PSK. This is JT65HF, which is a specific JT65 software. Multi-PSK decodes one at a time only. That is the bad side of multi-PSK on JT65. Get yourself JT65HF. I'll see here if I can post a link where you can download it. JT65HF. And here it is. You can download it from this page. So here's the link to this software. This software is the best for that. It decodes every signal and in one big pass. So Argentina again here. France, F5 is from France. So, you know, KM4, EA4, KA4, really, really nice. Yeah, absolutely. You got to be polite. You know, there are dumb people that try to make other people feel dumb. And you know what? I don't like people like that. When people actually try to make others feel dumb, I think these people are not worth it, the time to spend. So, you know. And remember one thing, Jane Dagger, all of us have been there. Have been there when we didn't know anything about radio, and we wanted to learn more. So, no problem, Frank. Frank is KF5BI. Thank you for being here. Actually, people that are good in their jobs are not afraid to ask questions. They are the best ones. So JT65. Yeah, I know it's cool. Also cool for that. One of the things I actually love from what I do here is that the fact that I brought together brings us together in a all together in one place. All the people that love the same thing, radio, the love of radio. And I'm happy to do these things to get everybody together. Yeah, be very careful with Patreon, because I have to say, like I was saying the other day, there's a guy that's really mad at me, and it's not my fault. The guy didn't choose the correct options. You got to really Patreon is nice, but it is not well designed to be very clear all the time. Last month, somebody donated, and he wanted to donate $50 maximum in the month. And it turned out that he didn't choose the correct option, so at the end, he was charged $1,000, which was not at all what I wanted. So he was really mad at me. He said, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? 100." He tried to take $1,000 from my credit card. It's like, look, man, you gotta be careful. Put a maximum limit on that Patreon account. So you gotta be careful when you do one. And now I have to say, so like Casey Red Dragon, so it says, okay, $1 per view. So I post, so for example, this show, I'll be posting the link on the Patreon place. And so, for example, if you watch that show or anything, you'll be charged $1 on Patreon if you view the shows. But you can set, and that's the important thing, set the maximum limit that you want to give. If you want to give $5, you could put $1 per view, but put the check mark or choose, okay, but a maximum I want to give in a month is $5, so that you don't go into bankruptcy. But now, since that happened last month, what I've done is I check out every patron, and I look at how they have set the account, because now I know that somebody could be full. So I look at the account, and I look at everybody and how they set it up. So if I see that, for example, you seem to be giving me $300 instead of $30 or $10 or whatever, I'll send you an email saying, I think you haven't chosen the correct thing, because it's it's set wrong. But now I'm checking every new patron that I get. I just check out the way that they set it up. But you just put a limit. You just decide what's the limit you want to give. And after you put that limit, well, you don't have to worry. It's never going to charge more than that. So, hope you guys had fun. I'm starting to get hungry and feel like making myself a little bit of food. I will be probably continuing, listening to Shortwave tonight. But so I hope everybody had fun with the show. Yeah, we're here for 3 hours and 16 minutes. We are here every week, Saturdays and Fridays. We all alternate. So the next radio show, yeah, the Patreon site is a little confusing, I gotta say. So yeah, it shouldn't be too complex, Kevin. Install it and just play with it, a little bit. It should be okay. And so I want to thank everybody. Next show will be on Saturday, June the 10th. And of course, we will be talking about ultralight DXing. That's the subject next time. Ultralight DXing. What is it all about? It's a specific area of shortwave radio. And I think that it's one of the fun things because it's a area where it doesn't cost a lot, and some people push these receivers to the maximum. And I will have many receivers that are in the ultralight receivers that you can use, and you'll see what it is. So ultralight DXing is the next show. Saturday, June 10th, 2000 hours UTC, as usual. Take care, everybody. Have a nice evening, night, day, wherever you are. Always cool to have everyone on board. Many thanks for all of you. Without you guys and girls, there would not be a show. I'd be speaking alone and be boring. And I just love the fact that everybody's there. And just great people are here. Take care, everybody. Thanks again. And see you soon. Bye-bye.